Hi folks, hope you're doing well. It's been a wet day today. It's not quite so cold, which is one thing, but I'd rather it as below 3 and raining, because then we'd have snow. I like snow. Don't like rain. Rain is just a pain in the butt. It's just wet. It doesn't really do anything, it's just wet. Whereas snow is nice. You can tread on snow, you can drive on snow, you can throw snowballs at doggies. I went to shop, got some salmon and cucumber. 5 salmon and cucumber sandwiches. The dogs had one each. I think they enjoyed. I do indeed. I think they enjoyed that a lot. Anyway, this video is about a Reddit. r/Reddit one. Am I the a-hole one? One of the stories was just awful blinking story. I mean, in this story, there's a girl, I think she's about 21. I'm not totally sure. Let's go and find it. See if I can find the story. Yeah. Okay, it's the next story. So let's go there, go there, go there, go there. Jeez, come on. Right. 30-year-old woman. Never knew her bio mum. Turns out, mum had wanted to abort her when she got pregnant. Didn't want to have her at all. But dad and dad's family, so dad's mum and dad, offered to basically pay her to have the child and then pay her to sign away the rights to the child. So they basically sold the house, one of the homes they had, gave half to her so she would actually go through with the pregnancy, and half at the end of the pregnancy. So she basically got the complete value of a home to have her daughter and give her up, which she was more than happy to do. She just wanted to abort. She didn't want nothing to do with having a child at all. She wanted, obviously, to get on with her life. She didn't want a child getting in her way at that point in time. So the daughter found this out. She was asking questions about her bio mum, and then her uncle told the story. And of course, her grandparents were quite furious that finally she had found out and that the uncle had told her. They weren't happy in any way, shape or form. Because obviously they wanted that truth to stay hidden from her, to protect her from the truth of her mum. Because of course, Amy's mum was only 19 at the time. So, of course, Amy is now in a relationship with her boyfriend, been in a relationship for a number of years. She changes her birth control and finds out she's pregnant. It was an accident, not on purpose. But she's got this career about to start, surgical residency. And of course, the hours of that are insane. So she decides she wants to abort this pregnancy. Of course, her boyfriend is against the whole idea completely. And her father is absolutely against the idea. Basically, she decided it's basically impossible for her to raise a baby while working in that rhythm, as in that sort of training. So she wanted an abortion. Her fiancé of 6 years, they've been together 6 years, wanted to keep the baby. It caused a massive fight. They split up. She then had the abortion 10 days later. Because, of course, the fiancé had told her dad about it. And then what her dad did he basically gave her a card. In the card, there were 2 photos and a phone number. The phone number was her bio mum's phone number. 2 photos were photos of her bio mum's 2 boys that she'd had in a different relationship. And he basically told Amy, I'm giving you this because you're identical to your mum. I mean, basically, Amy, who herself would have got aborted if it wasn't for her dad's family, didn't care less that she was aborting a child. Now, if her dad had had the same view, Amy would never have lived. I mean, to me, it's an incredibly difficult story. It really is an incredibly difficult story. But basically what Amy decided was she was going to... Her career mattered far more than her child. So, like her mum, decided that she wasn't willing to do this. She was quite happy to abort the child because who cares? Well, okay. I have no idea with regards to at what point the fetus is counted as alive. I don't know. I don't know at what point God considers it to be alive. Is it when the sperm and the egg come together? Is that conception? Is that when it happens? Yeah, when the womb closes up and starts producing this child. Is that when? The first bit producing, is that when? Or is it when the heart is beating? Well, when's that? When is it that fetus is alive? Because put it this way, folks, if you abort or have aborted at a point where that fetus is alive, that's murder. You are committing murder by doing that. In our society, it doesn't matter. It's perfectly legal to do. There's no crime involved in it. But it is a sin. That is a sin. And by all accounts, I've heard many accounts on this, that women who abort years later, it could be 20 years later, it's often 18 and 21 years later. When certainly around about the time when that child would have been born, when the woman realizes what she's done. Especially over something like this. I mean, Amy, women like Amy deserve really to have their ability, for God to take away their ability to have children. Put it this way, if God did that, you wouldn't be overly surprised, would you? You wouldn't think that was harsh if God did that. If you have no concern for life, if you have no concern for the fact that you are aborting a child, and this may be the only child you might be able to have. You might... Okay, Amy and her fiancé have split up. That's cool. She might not be that bothered about it. I mean, she was, but she ended up crying for days and days and days, and it was over Christmas, so she had a pretty bad Christmas. But her next partner maybe won't be able to have children. So maybe that was the one child she could have had. And she's aborted it because she was thinking about career rather than that. She's 30 years of age. Her mum was 19. It was far more understandable for her mum to want to do this than for her to want to do this. Her mum was just starting off in life. This woman was 30 years of age. Can't be excused as being, barely an adult, more of a child than an adult, like her mum was. By 30, she should be an adult by now. When she made her decision, she clearly was not thinking about the consequences of the decision that she had made. Within a few days of that, she knew the consequences. Her fiancé had broken up with her. She had lost her father. Her father wanted nothing to do with her at all. Well, her sister is the one that's telling the story, and the sister basically says, Dad tried talking with her to keep the child. They got into an enormous fight. Amy went and got the abortion 10 days ago. Mark, her fiance, ended up breaking up with her. Then she said she's obviously really sad. Okay, why is she sad? Because she lost a baby? She chose to lose a baby? Or because of Mark? Because of her dad? Why? I mean, it's a tough situation. That situation is made far tougher by the fact that her mum wanted to abort her. I thoroughly support the dad in that situation. I think the dad was right, really, to point out to her that. I mean, so many parents try to gloss over what their children have done. Her dad didn't do that. Her dad actually said to her, look, what you're doing is exactly the same as what your mum was trying to do. And if your mum had done that, then you would have died over 30 years ago. You wouldn't have been born. So all this life you've had because we basically paid her to have you. I'm surprised that her dad didn't ask her the question that if someone offered her £100,000 or $100,000, would she have had the child? If so, then she is exactly like her mum. Of course, it's written by her sister, so her sister thinks it was out of order, that her fiance was out of order, that her dad was out of order, because she's looking at it from the point of women have the right to abort their child. Yeah. But then again, her mother had the right to abort her. And then, sweetheart, you wouldn't have had a sister, would you? So this sister you're now supporting wouldn't even been born. Had you have been there when her mother, 19-year-old mother, had wanted to abort her, you would have been fighting against your father and your father's family, saying she has the right to abort her child, my sister. Crazy, this women's rights situation. It's insane. I say this woman who writes it about her sister thought it was a dick move for her fiance to speak to her dad to try and convince Amy to keep her baby. Excuse me, he did what he thought he had to do. Not exactly a dick move, is it? And of course, the person who does these is just as blind and just as left-wing nutcase as he always is. Basically said that her father and her fiance were out of order. Her sister is a saint, as is Amy. that her father was out of order for pointing out that Amy was just like her mum. Of course, Arslan or the sister couldn't argue with the fact of what her dad had said. Couldn't argue and say that he's wrong in what he pointed out. What he pointed out was wrong. They couldn't say that. Now, maybe he handled it badly. But there you go. That's just another thing, isn't it, really? Hear all the noise they're making upstairs. Smashing and banging around, as they always do. Will this video be useful, actually? If they start complaining about my dogs making noise, pretty sure the microphone has just picked up their slamming and banging upstairs. Oh, this happens all the time. Every time they open and close the door, they have to slam it. They can't figure out how to actually just close the door. Anyhow. I'd certainly say if you're in that situation of Amy, if you're in that situation and it happened years ago, you need to forgive yourself. You need to ask God to forgive you, and you need to forgive yourself. Certainly if you feel bad about the decision you made and you're in pain about it, you need to forgive yourself. You need to let it go. Say we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes in life. What does make me laugh, though, and I say this to all these people on the left who are wanting to extend the amount of period that a child can be aborted at. If that child is alive, that's counted as murder. And it is, and it should be, according to the law of the land, should be counted as murder if that child is actually alive at the point of abortion. Where if you believe it's okay to abort a child at that stage, don't ever, 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 ever think that you can stand up and shout at somebody for doing anything, committing murder. No, you can't. Even if someone murders a kid, you can't say anything, because you say it's okay for a woman to murder her own child that's inside of her. If that's okay, then I'm sorry, you basically said that anything is okay. Because a child that isn't even born, if it's okay to murder that child, then Jesus. Don't try and get on your soapbox about anything else. I mean, there's too many hypocrites. But that certainly is incredibly hypocritical. Indeed. What people are saying in that way, it's just absolutely mad. So anyway, there you go. I will leave you at that. You take care. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye. I will include that video, or that that one, and the story. This particular story is, God knows, where is it? It's around about. No, that's a different story completely. Oh, well, there you go. Oh, yeah. Okay, so 8 minutes and 45 seconds is if you go forward to that point in that link, that video link. The video link is called "Am I the A-hole for suing my cousin who stole my prosthetic leg?" Well, the answer to that one, quite simply, is no. To that question one is no. Cousin was an idiot. The cousin was basically trying to pull pranks on this lad. Stole his prosthetic leg, hid it up in the attic under a heavy TV, broke his prosthetic leg, and all the family is saying, "Oh, you can't sue him for pranking you." Well, who's going to pay for this leg then? And the family is saying, "Well, if you wait till after Christmas, we'll figure something out." Yeah, what's he supposed to do until then? Sorry, consequences. All these things on Reddit and stuff like that are talking about consequences. Yeah. There was another one I saw earlier that is a repeat. Basically, this couple were having a wedding, and they actually organised that they wanted steak as their meal. And then, I think about 3 days before the wedding, they decided they wanted to change that. And instead, they wanted to have chicken. And the company that they had actually ordered to do it said, "No, I'm sorry. If you wanted to change the ingredients, you were supposed to tell us a month before the wedding, so we had a chance to order the right stuff in, and we didn't waste money ordering the wrong stuff. 3 days before, sorry, can't do it." And the person said, "Okay, cancel." But I said, "Fine, you want to cancel? You still have to pay us 90% of the value of the deal anyway." So the bloke writing it was from the point of view of the person who was doing the chef, the caterers. He said that he'd continue cooking for this wedding just in case they were asked to actually do it. But when the person then phoned up the next day, he said, "Oh, no, we can't. Because that contract you have with us, you cancelled it." Yeah, that's it. Cancelled. But he said, "If you want, you can order a serve of the day one, but that's 3 times more expensive. And we can only give you whatever we've got in stock." So they ended up having exactly what they ordered in the first place at 3 times the cost. Consequences. Yeah, don't be a dick, basically. Don't be a muppet. Learn, read your bloody contracts you've got with people. If you've got a contract, and the president said actually afterwards, he said, he looked on Facebook and they only lasted 3 years, that couple anyway. They divorced after 3 years. But they had to pay, I think, about $21,000 for their catering. And it was only $7,000 initially. But they mucked it up, cancelled it, and then had to pay triple. The level of stupidity of some people. Look into the consequences first. Think about it. If we cancel this, who's going to cater for us? If we want to go back to these people, we've already just cancelled that deal. We can't have that deal because we cancelled it. So what can we get? Do that. Do all that thinking. Remember what I said about think about the consequences before you act? That's a prime example of that. And like with poor Amy, again, yeah. Tough situation. Well, Amanda is I think the sister. Yeah. But terrible situation, to say the least. It's what it is. Yeah. It's what it is. I mean, we don't know if she then contacted her mum. No idea. I mean, certainly she was looking into the possibility of contacting her mum. But when she found out about what her mum did, she decided she didn't want to contact her mum anymore. But after her dad gave her the details, did she then decide she wanted to contact her mum? I don't know. No idea. They don't tell us that. But yeah, that was certainly a Reddit story that was extreme, I think. Definitely an extreme situation. But definitely something you would have thought, really. You would certainly have thought that this woman, Amanda, she's learnt that her mum, when she was 19, got pregnant with her and wanted to abort her. So when she gets pregnant and realises this is going to be difficult, she didn't really skip much of a beat, did she? Thinking about abortion, from what it seems. Of the story. She had a career path, that's what she was focused on. Laser focused, this is what I want to do. Sod everyone else. Is she going to let a pregnancy get in the way? Nope. So is she in any position whatsoever to pass any judgment whatsoever on her mum? No. She was 30 at the time. The decision she made. Her mum was only 19. At least I think that's the case, because initially it says that Amanda is 30 at the time the conversation started, but don't know. But yeah, it's a fascinating story. It's worth hearing on the Reddit thing. The story is an amazing story, to say the least. Amazing in so many levels of bad. Yeah. I mean, put it this way, certainly initially everyone would be on the side of her dad and her dad's parents, doing whatever they could to keep this child from being aborted. Why? Because they know Amanda's name. They know she's now 30. The problem is they didn't accept anyone doing anything to try and help Amanda to keep her child, or to have her child. Her dad and his parents were sort of heroes initially, but then her fiance, Amanda's fiance and dad, were then demons for trying to basically the levels, the levels of stupidity is just incredible. That's people for you, don't it, really? People, yeah, indeed. Crazy, 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 crazy business. So there you go. You take care. God bless. I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.